Hi and welcome to this video from Thrive Admin Services. I'm Marianne, your Chief Microsoft Magician, Document Wrangler and all things in between at Thrive. In this video, I'm going to show you how I use the color-coded categories in Outlook, both in my emails and in my calendar, to help me work more efficiently and have a much better handle on how my day works. It's something that is really simple, but can make a big difference in how you plan your day and how you're scheduling your week ahead. So let's get started. So before I show you how I use categories in my calendar and in my Outlook, I wanted to show you how you can set up your categories if you haven't worked with them before. So I'm going to do this via Outlook on the web because then it's universal whether you're PC or Mac. So in Outlook on the web, it's in your settings, which is the cog up in the top ribbon here. We click on that one and then I go down to view all Outlook settings and we go to general and you'll see there's an option here called categories. Now here, so you can categorize them and it allows you to organize and track it. It assigns a color code for each category. So obviously I've got some set up that are based on the elements of Thrive Admin Services that I use, and it helps me to distinguish when I'm looking at my calendar and at emails what belongs where and what type of work. So if I'm doing a block of client work, these are the things I need to deal with. You can add and edit and create categories. So when you start, I think there's usually a bunch that are just called blue category, green category, red category, and you can edit them and you can create your own. So for the ones that are there initially when you first start, you can open up, say I had the yellow category, and you can edit it with the pencil and you can rename it, and you can choose any color that you like if you want to change the color. If you want to create a new one, so I might want to create one that's going to be CEO time, and I'm going to give that a color of its own that's different to other things that I do. So I might make that the dark gray, save, and you can see it's added it here. So this is the color tag, this is the title, and I can remove it or add it to any of my appointments or emails. So that's categories, and in the next step, we'll look at how I apply them in both my calendar and my emails to work more efficiently. I'll show you how I use the coloured categories once you've got them set up in my calendar, because I use it primarily in the calendar, but I'll also show you how you can use it for your emails and tasks. So when I work in my calendar, every appointment that I set, I categorize, and it helps me see at a glance how my week is looking. So here's a sample week, and you can see that it was quite a busy week for me. But what I try to do, and what the color coding and using categories helps me to do, is to help me keep things of a certain category together where I can. So looking at this as an example, you can see that that green color here on the Tuesday, these all seem to correspond or are client blocks. So that's a day that I've spent predominantly working on client work. The yellow, because it really stands out, it always grabs my attention. The yellow I have set up as my personal appointments because I keep everything in one calendar so that I don't get double booked. So personal appointments are yellow, and they pop and they just always catch my eye first, and that's why I've chosen that color. Client work goes in the this sort of dark green. I use a light green for discovery calls because in my head I go light green discovery call, dark green client. So there's a connection between a lead and a client project. I also do the guided workshops in a slightly different shade of green because, again, it's a paid product. It's something that's someone's come to attend. So all the green is my client-facing client work or leading into a client. Yellow is my personal. I pop in the blue is the sort of standard, it's not categorized, but those are my buffers. So I can see that those are where I've given myself take a break between sections of client work. It's where I'm traveling. It's where I've put some prep time and buffer time on a session. And then I use shades of sort of reds and pinks for business. So stuff for Thrive. And in this instance, you can see I've got some professional development stuff, some memberships that I'm have sessions for. This is the time I allocate to schedule my newsletter, and some other appointments that I have about the business. So when I look at the week and look at that week, I go, right, Tuesday is a client day. So my mindset for Tuesday is client work. And I might look at that week and say, there's a lot of client work in there already. So if a client was to contact me and say, hey, I really need this done, is there any chance you could do it this week? I could say, oh, look, I'm actually full for the amount of client work I'm doing this week, because I try and keep Fridays as a day for Thrive, like a CEO day, where I can do things for Thrive. So I would pop other appointments where I might work on things. If my accountant wanted to get in touch with me, if I needed to get in touch with my accountant, that would go in on a Friday because it would fit with that sort of theme in my head. Likewise, you can see that my Wednesday in this particular week is very much about leads and discovery calls. So it's just means that I'm in that mindset of talking to people and being able to explain who I am and what I do. So it helps me time block, it helps me organize my week, and it also helps me organize my mind. How you can apply a category and how you can change one. So if I go to this week and I decide that I want to add an appointment for, this is this week's calendar, I want to add an appointment on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. So we'll put one in as an hour and we'll just call it test appointment. So I'm going to go more options, which will open it up into the full window option. When you're working on Outlook on the web, categorize is up here as an automatic choice. So it's putting it in as a busy, but you can change that to free or whatever, and then we can categorize it. And here are all of the categories that I already have. If for some reason I decided, hang on a minute, this doesn't fit into any of those, I can also create a new category as we go. But let's say that this one is just for some, let's say it's a prospective client. So I'll pop that on it and see it's changed the color here so that this appointment now belongs here. It's added the tag here. I can also add more than one tag. So I can say it's a prospective client, and I'll do some admin with it as well. So you see it's got 2 tags here. So you can have as many as you like, or you can stick to one. It will choose one predominant color, and that's what it will look like in your calendar. But when you open it, or if you filter things by certain categories, it will show up that way. So we can now save it, and you can see it's here as a test appointment. All right. Likewise, once I've got it in and I want to change it, I can right click and I can categorize and I can remove that. So that's the standard Microsoft color blue. And then I can categorize again and I'll say, no, it's actually going to be a one-on-one session. And it just means that when I look at it from scratch, I know I've got another one-on-one session there. So that's how I use categories in Outlook Calendar. Show you how I use how you can use categories in your inbox, which is another really handy way to group and organize your inbox. So if I open the inbox on Outlook on the web, this is my current inbox, which is quite reasonable. So you can see that it's got all of my emails sitting here. What I can do is I can select an email and I can categorize. So same system as working in the calendar. So I can now categorize that. That is attached to client work. It's added a tag here. I can also then say this one is also client work, and this one, this one, this one. They are my client work ones. So I can categorize them all as a group and they will all now show as client work. What I can also do so we can filter a few things out, I'm going to take this one and this one, and I'm going to categorize them as Thrive Admin, and I'm going to take tick those all off again, and then I'm going to take this one and this one, and I'm going to categorize them as, let's make them that's all of my categories. I'm going to make that marketing and PD. Okay, so you can see I've got different colors there now. So the other thing that you can do now is I can actually filter my emails. So if I go, all I need to see today are, I just want to see the client work ones. I don't want to get distracted by anything else in my inbox. So to do that, we go back to, so if we can remove that. Client work results. Go back to the inbox. So that's my whole inbox. And I can literally, if just by clicking on, I'll go, oh, hang on, today's an admin day. So what am I working on? I've got these ones. Back to the inbox to strip that out. Oh, client work day, right, these are the emails I need to deal with today. So it's a really quick way to filter your inbox. It's also a really good way when you look at your inbox in whatever format. I'll just jump to the desktop version so you can see how it looks. Now, I'm obviously working on a Mac on the desktop, so it looks a little bit different. But here when I'm on the desktop, filtering on the desktop, you can filter by category. And so now I can just do it this way and we go, oh, that one. So there's all of my client work ones that are sitting in the desktop at the moment, and I can work through them. And once they're done, I can move them out of my inbox. So it's a really good way to remove a lot of the distraction. So that's the way that I use categories in Microsoft Outlook. So I use it for my calendar, and I can use it to group and filter my emails. By using categories, it helps me to quickly see from a color perspective. I register a color as meaning a certain thing, and that takes a little bit of time, but it certainly helps me for the calendar perspective to see at a glance how a day is looking, and do I want to put something else in the mix that's different to how the rest of the day is looking. Have a play with categories. I think it's a really great way for you to be able to give yourself a bit of a visual board for your calendar instead of it just being so text heavy. It's also really handy because if you're working with Outlook calendar on your phone or a tablet, or you're on the go, it means that it's consistent across the board. So you can do a quick glance and go, oh, look, Tuesday's actually just all client work. I can't put anything else in. Friday, I've got a bunch of personal stuff going on, so I don't really want to squish something else in there. I don't use it as much for my emails, to be perfectly honest, but that doesn't mean that there's no reason for you to not use it. I tend to keep my inbox pretty clean, so it's not such an issue for me. But if you've got a lot of emails and you're trying to sort through things, or you get a lot of emails that go backwards and forwards on a particular project, you can set up a category for a project, and then you can filter it by that and work that way. So have a play with categories in Outlook. It works on your desktop version exactly the same way as it does on the web version. Any categories you set up on one will sync to the other. And you can just be consistent then across your naming and your colors. And it's another way that you can group and filter and find data really quickly, and help keep yourself on track with everything. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can get in touch with me either in the Facebook group, Microsoft Dynamos. If you're a member of Thriving 365, you'll find me in the Thriving with 365 private Facebook group as well. Or you can send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. I would love to be able to help you get more bang for your buck out of your Microsoft 365 business subscription.